Good morning and hello, everybody. My name is Martin O'Neill. I'm the head of marketing here at Rosterfy, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. We've got the room is filling up nicely. This has been a very well attended webinar, which is exciting to see. No doubt, it's probably not Sam or myself that are a big pull for this one. It will be John and Bradford 2025. It's the city of culture and an excellent subject to cover. Sometimes you find a guest that is so perfect for a theme that you know that you're going to get some really good insights out of it. And if the theme is inclusivity, John is the absolute perfect guest for this webinar. He'll be joined by the more than acceptable Sam Bennett, who will be talking about volunteer management and Rosterfy very briefly at the start. And together, what we hope to share today is how to create a diverse and inclusive volunteer program for your community. The session will last about 30 minutes. And if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll probably see like a little questions box. I receive those questions as the session goes on. And if it's something short and quick that I can answer during the webinar itself, I'm more than happy to do that. I'll be ducking into that. But if you do want to have a question answered at the end, when the chaps get to the end of their presentation, we've left plenty of time to go through that. So I have no doubt that we'll have plenty of questions as this goes on. And one other thing is that I tend to share these presentations, the recording of the webinar, about 24 hours after we've broadcasted them as well. So if you've got other members of your team that you'd like to share it with, it will just be a link and you can fire that over to them. I'm going to just jump straight in now to Sam, who's going to be kicking us off before John takes us home.
Thanks, Martin, and welcome all for those that haven't joined before. I'm Sam. I head up the sales team for Rosterfy in the UK. We began working with Bradford, I think it was around about a year ago, John. So John and the team at Bradford worked really hard on launching what is UK City of Culture for 2025, and it's a really exciting programme. They've got national lottery funding. It's a kind of initial 5-year project with the City of Culture year in 2025 with thousands of new performances. I think 365 artists are involved in the running of the different festivals and events that are happening in Bradford this year. And then we've got the ongoing legacy of that as well. So once we hopefully engage as many people in the community as possible in this programme, trying to keep them engaged in the long run and get them coming back and supporting a mix of different events and initiatives that happen in Bradford, not just this year, but for the next 5 and many more years to come as well. Bradford, as John will go through today, is one of the most diverse areas of the country. And that needs to be reflected in the volunteer pools and getting the right communities involved in the running of this year. So I'm going to keep my section really brief, and then I want to hand over to John, who I know has got some slides and going to talk through some of the ways that they've engaged different demographics within their communities for this year ahead. So I'll do a quick introduction to Rosterfy. We'll then just touch on briefly the current volunteering trends in the UK when it comes to inclusion and accessibility, and then we'll hand over to John before doing a bit of a Q&A. These sessions tend to last around about 20 minutes, so we'll see how we go in terms of timing. For those that don't know Rosterfy, I think most people on the call will have done by this point, but we've been in the market now for around about 10, 11 years. We have now operated in over 35 different countries, and the UK and Europe is our actual largest territory in terms of our customer base. So we have the highest kind of customer pool in the UK in terms of split of region, and we're very proud last year to have surpassed 100 million volunteering hours powered through the Rosterfy platform, and we now have a goal over the next 3 years to get to over 500 million. So looking to scale and increase the impact of the platform over time, and there's a lot of different volunteering programs of all kinds of shapes and sizes, from city councils and government programs to small and large charities across the UK and the world as well as some of the big large scale events too. So there's not much that we haven't seen and haven't come across when it comes to volunteer programs. We're very well versed in what good looks like when it comes to volunteering. So just quickly on the state of volunteering, we've been wanting to do a diversity webinar for a while. It's going to be a really big topic for this year is inclusivity. So looking at the current trends in terms of the government reports, around about 73% of people from ethnic minorities say they intend to volunteer, and that was last year, but actually only around about 30% are doing so. And that's quite common. I think a lot of us kind of feel that we want to volunteer at some point, but it's always one of those things that you can never get around to or never find the time to do. And people's lives change all the time. It can be difficult to find the time to do it. So I think one of the big things that we've really learned is that you've got to really show volunteers and show the public how they can help. Just explain to them that one small contribution that they make can make a big difference, and really educating them on what they can do without scaring them with a huge commitment, but just finding ways that they can support an organization in different ways and really getting that through in your messaging. And as we've touched on in previous webinars that you can revisit on our masterclass page, it's really about kind of understanding those different demographics that you want to engage with and understand their motivations for volunteer, and then targeting messaging towards those different demographics so that we're not just putting out one blanket advert. It's talking really to the motivations of that specific group that we're targeting. We also looked at the same report in terms of the LGBTQ plus community. Around about 3% of the UK currently identify as being part of this community, but over 6% of the national pool of volunteers come from this community. And that's the people that kind of associate themselves with the community. So really, really high uptake in that community. And it's interesting that different demographics seem to engage with volunteering in different ways. As I said, one of the big things that we really look to focus on at Rosterfy is how do we create an engaging, quick and easy volunteer experience, where from the very first moment someone looks at a registration form or a role posting page, we're just making it really clear to them what's available in their area, what could they do that would be helpful. Some of it could be really ongoing commitment, some of it could just be 1 hour, one time, but it's just finding ways that people can support. With Rosterfy, what we then do is have a kind of a streamlined volunteering journey that they follow. So they're getting timely communications. The volunteers get guided through any necessary sign-up steps through their mobile application and over email and SMS. And what that enables charities and organizations to do is see all of their sign-ups on a live basis. So you can see anyone that's at a certain stage and has been stuck there for a period of time, you can then go and reach out to those that need extra support. So what we quite often see is some volunteers will just whiz through a self-service volunteer application process through the mobile app, and that frees up the volunteer team on the organization side to be able to spend more time helping those that need more support. And that's how we increase inclusivity, because some people are not starting from the same point as other applicants. It's not just one size fits all. Some applicants will need more support and more guidance through the process versus others. So we've got to free up the time for the volunteer team to then be able to invest in those that seem to have got stuck halfway through. As I said, I wanted to keep my part short and sweet. So we're going to come on to what you can control when it comes to volunteering. We know there's lots of barriers around, cost of living and the state of the economy and people's time commitments at the moment, which can really be hurdles to volunteering. But we're going to focus today on what we can control and some of that messaging, and understand from John some of the things that Bradford are doing to help find those different communities to support their events. So I'm going to hand over to you, John, if that's okay.
Great, thanks, Sam. Thank you very much for having me. I was saying before the call, I've been part of the audience on many of these webinars, so it's about time I gave back. So just to start off, really, my name's John. I'm one of the volunteer program managers at Bradford 2025, and I look after culture and access in particular. Next slide, please, Martin. Great, thank you. So I won't be doing my job properly if I didn't talk about Bradford just for a little bit. Some of you might not know some of these, but we're actually the youngest city in the UK by population, and by some measures we're even the youngest city in Europe as well. So I think this is a major reason we got the City of Culture Award, and that is reflecting in our volunteer numbers that I'll get into a little bit later. We're also the most ethnically diverse city outside of London as well. We have lots of different communities that live within the district, from Ukrainian and Polish communities to lots of different South Asian communities as well. So with all that, there's about 13 major languages that are spoken here, which is obviously a bit of a challenge, but also one that we welcome as well, because as I'll get into a little bit later, it just shows the skills that some of our volunteers have in terms of the languages that they speak as well. And just a few facts about Bradford. So, actually, the first legislation for both free education and free school dinners started in Bradford. The Independent Labour Party was formed here in 1893. And we were the first ever UNESCO City of Film as well. Lots of different films and TV shows being filmed in Bradford. And Saltaire is a World Heritage Site as well, so obviously on the same list as the Great Wall of China and Machu Picchu as well. And some famous people who've come from Bradford as well. Obviously, the Bronte sisters lived here, first in Thornton and then in Haworth. David Hockney is actually part of our programme, which is amazing. He studied in Bradford and grew up in Bradford. And J.B. Priestley, the playwright, as well as Zayn Malik, formerly of One Direction, and Dynamo, the magician as well, who are both Bradford 2025 ambassadors as well. So that's just a little bit about Bradford. So our aims in a nutshell, we're looking for nearly 2,000 volunteers. What's great is that we're at 1,600 now. Obviously, we're not going to stop when we hit 1,780. We're going to keep going. And we're also looking for 2,000 corporate social responsibility volunteers as well. So that's, people who are doing it as part of their job. They might have 1 or 2 days written into their contract to volunteer. And we really want to give people increased confidence and pride in their place as well. I think these are some of the reasons people want to volunteer as well. We also want to improve access to volunteering and help volunteers better reflect the district demographic. There's always the first thing that comes to your mind when you say volunteer in the UK is usually a retired white person. We want to change that. We also want to improve the volunteering infrastructure as well and have, as Sam said, have that legacy impact way after 2025. So obviously, yeah, we're using Rosterfy as a central database. We've already got a legacy group with about 80 different volunteer managers from across the district who are buying into that legacy as well. And we want to create new and inclusive routes to volunteering as well, making sure that all those organisations are better equipped to welcome people from different backgrounds too. So this is just a little bit on who's actually signing up so far. So on the left-hand side, I've got an age breakdown. And what's really encouraging is that, nearly a quarter of our volunteers are 18 to 27, which is definitely what we'd want to see being, the youngest city in the UK. I think the national average for young volunteers is about 15%. So we're quite nicely above that at the minute. And as you can see, we've got a good representation from each age group as well. And these are just some of the languages that volunteers have said that they speak besides English as well, which is fantastic and shows the diversity. And this is a sort of our ethnic breakdown as well for volunteers. And I think what's encouraging is that, in most places in the UK, you'd probably see the white section, above 50%. We've still got a bit of a way to go to make sure we're welcoming everyone and enough people are signing up. But it's a good sort of representation of our Black and our Asian communities as well. So this is just a little bit on understanding volunteer motivation, and to be honest, we're still learning this because every volunteer has a different story and a different background. But we know that there's volunteers that want to learn new skills and receive experience for their CV. We also they might want to give back to their local community as well, increase their well-being. We know that loneliness is a big issue, especially after COVID. So getting people out of the house, meeting new people, even though it sounds so quite simple, some people, need motivation to do that, and doing that through a volunteer program is amazing. We've already seen lots of volunteers making friends, starting their own groups with their interests as well. We're lucky enough to have the big draw of the City of Culture Award for our volunteer program. But what's clear is that people want to join this to change the perceptions of Bradford. There's been a lot of bad press for Bradford the last 20, 30 years. We're changing that by putting on these great events and getting the local people and the volunteers involved as well. And we know as well that volunteering improves physical and mental health as well. So, from a purely economic point of view, it saves so much money for the NHS in terms of preventative care as well. And as I said before, people want to make new friends and find out about cultural events as well, things that they might have not have considered going to before. They might not have thought culture was for them, and we're changing that. So these are just some of the optional training that we give to people. As I said, obviously people want to learn new skills, so we want to provide them with lots of optional training, and we've been working with lots of local partners to put this on. Probably the headline one is a top one because it's a fully accredited course that Shipley College are running for us. And it's a City and Guild Level 2 in customer service. And the World Host training is actually what the volunteers for the 2012 Olympics had as well. So it's excellent to be able to offer that free of charge to our volunteers. We're also making sure that they have cultural competency and EDI training, as well as guide dogs training, mental health first aid, money SOS workshops. So, you don't necessarily always learn in school how to manage money and mortgage rates and borrowing costs and things like that. So it's just a bit of advice for volunteers. We're also working with MenCap as well, who are a local charity who run Bradford Buddies. And basically that means volunteers can sign up to be buddies and help people who'd otherwise not be able to go to events or not feel confident enough buddy up based on their interests. So that's a really nice one. And then we have some other ones from West Yorkshire Police, some sustainability training and object handling training as well. So they're all just optional ones that we offer to people. And there's lots more in the pipeline, but just to give you an idea, if you offer volunteers that training, that'll really help you appeal to people to sign up.
I was going to ask John just quickly on that. How was the? I mean, you're very busy. First thing I'm thinking, but how have you found the uptake of the training? Do you find there's lots of engagement and interest from the volunteers that are signing up?
Yeah, so there's definitely more uptake for ones that they can do at home. So videos, online courses, things like that. The in-person ones are a little bit more difficult, but the City and Guild training is a 2-day course across 2 weeks. So that's been a little bit more challenging, but that's mainly because a lot of the volunteers might already have qualifications in customer service, so it's more for new and younger volunteers really.
Excellent.
Um, I've also got a question, John. Sorry to jump in. I know we were going to save questions at the end, but I find all this very interesting. How did you get these relationships started? Like, I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now would be thinking, I'd love to be able to run training programs or do joint ventures with some other charities in my area. How do you kick that off? Because these are all very busy people with their own programs too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, we're very lucky to have that draw of the City of Culture and all of the attention that brings. But these are all basically local sort of voluntary sector organisations. So when I started my job in 2023, we basically spent that first year building these relationships with lots of different charities, local groups, council groups, things like that who run the training, and that's how we found out about it really. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Great. So what you all here for as well, building an inclusive program. So as I said, yeah, since 2023, we started off with a small pool of volunteers, probably about 50 to 100. And we supported those small scale sort of community events that happen every year anyway. And the idea behind that was that after 2025, that way we'd already have those relationships with all of these organisations, so then we can pop all of their opportunities onto Rosterfy after the City of Culture year finishes. And then that pool of volunteers has lots of opportunities to go for. We've also learned as well, you need to be conscious of religious holidays, making sure there's a prayer space available, for inductions, training, events that you've got on. Just making sure that you're on top of that. There are calendars available online that do show the different religious holidays. We're coming up to Ramadan now as well, so just being conscious of those things will go a long way into being inclusive. We provide ear defenders. We've got a quiet space in our office as well, but we're also open to volunteers letting us know. It sounds quite obvious, but on your sign up forms, make sure you've got a free text box that people can put their access needs on, and that way when people sign up we can review their access needs. Luckily we've got an access coordinator who actually rings up people to talk about their needs as well, so it's more of a one-to-one care with that way. We've also been working with lots of local organisations that focus on supporting minority groups as well, so I'll get into that a little bit later. And ultimately, we've been bringing the volunteer opportunities to them, so we haven't been expecting everyone to come into the city centre and join in there. It's quite a big district, Bradford, so we've been, going out to the smaller towns and villages as well, so taking the opportunities to them, making sure they know this volunteer programme is for them. It doesn't belong to anybody. It's for them to get the most out of. And we've been working with, community centres, places of worship and libraries as well. Ultimately, there'll be lots of great volunteering that's already happening in your area. You might just not know about it, so there's no need to sort of reinvent that wheel. It's more about uniting it all together. Yeah, so in terms of recruiting a diverse range of volunteers, we've cast our net out quite wide. So we started off really with universities and colleges, and a lot of our first pool of volunteers were international students. And there's definitely, what we've found is a lot of the students from African countries that have come over have said that there's more of a culture of giving back. I think there is in the UK as well, but it's more expected in these African countries to volunteer at some point to really give back as well. So that's been great motivation. I've also been in touch with local churches, mosques, and synagogues as well, because and other places of worship, because a lot of volunteering happens in these places as well. So you'll find some great groups of people that want to get involved. We've been going to community centres because there's so many different groups that meet in those community centres as well. So you can really tap in and talk to people in groups there and tap into their experience. We've also been going to English second language classes too, to appeal to people who might not be as confident in speaking English, and just making sure they know that we do have a way of them volunteering as well. We've been going to adult skills classes because we can obviously talk about our training offer for people. It's the same with health groups and NHS volunteer groups as well. We had loads of volunteers used for COVID in Bradford, so we've been tapping into those sort of networks that are still existing. We've also been working with the Department of Work and Pensions as well, advertising the volunteer opportunities for job seekers as well, who might want to learn skills, get out of the house, things like that. So you might not have heard of City of Sanctuary, but Bradford was one of the first UK cities of sanctuaries. And what that means is we basically welcome everyone who wants to rebuild their life. If whether they're asylum seeker or refugee, or if they're moving and want to just rebuild their lives, we're there to help people. And they've got their own advisory groups as well. So that support is built with lived experience as well. So how are we actually been accessible to asylum seekers and refugees? Well, we're working with an organisation called Refugee Action who offer one-to-one support. So it's kind of making sure we know where to signpost asylum seekers and refugees if they need that additional support as well. So something we found is that this group of people, they can be worried about volunteering because they're worried it can be classed as working. And what we found helped is that we drafted letters for the Home Office and the border agency highlighting their legal right to volunteer, because we actually contacted some of the staff at the Home Office and they weren't aware of their own laws. So we had to sort of highlight that to them. It's also important that we make sure volunteering doesn't impact those appointments that they've got on, because obviously they're absolutely crucial that they attend them. And we actually attend a weekly drop-in session. And asylum seekers and refugees can go there, and it's a one-stop shop for everything they need. So there's organisations that can help with housing, finance, health, English second language classes, and community connections as well. So these are some of our local partners that are helping us with inclusion as well, and I'm sure you'll have similar groups in your area as well. But we have a race equality network, and they have a really good network of people from lots of different communities and minority groups as well. And they're really helping us build links to those groups as well, and also build trust as well, because there's a lot of mistrust with the local council and the government as a whole. So for some of these ethnic minority groups, it's about talking to them one-on-one as well, and just making sure you're there for their benefit as well. They're also helping us with our EDI training as well. Or can you just go back? Sorry, I've just got a couple more to go through. Thanks. Yeah, so we're working with the council neighbourhoods team. These guys are ward officers who actually volunteer their time to help in their local community, so they know their community like the back of their hand. And if there's lots of groups that aren't online or doing things online, you'll be able to find them in person as well. We're also working with CABAD, Community Action Bradford and Districts, and they support the voluntary sector across the whole district. There's over 100 groups that are signed up as well, so they've been really beneficial in helping us promote the City of Culture. And Mind the Gap as well, so they're England's premier leading disability performance and arts company, and they're really helping us break down barriers to volunteering, so making sure venues are fully accessible, checking over our comms, making sure Rosterfy platform, when we launched that, we asked them to have a look through that as well. And it's great that Rosterfy has those accessibility tools as well. They've been really helpful. We're also working with the Equity Partnership. We're providing volunteers for Bradford Pride that they run, but they're also making sure that we're fully accessible for people from the LGBTQ plus backgrounds as well, and Equality Together. So they work on breaking down barriers to those with access needs as well. So they're pre-fooding our comms, checking our website as well, and helping us do audits of venues. It just means we can put all of that information onto the shift so people can read all of the access information before they volunteer. Just a few other bits of what we're doing. So we're providing volunteer at home opportunities, such as blog writing, planning, research, and evaluation. We haven't had much uptake from this yet. I think everybody's wanting to get involved on the ground, but it's always there for people who might not, be able to leave the house or don't want to volunteer at big events. We're putting all of the access information on Rosterfy under the shift as well, so people know what to expect. We're making sure that our training videos and handbooks are translated into 13 major languages as well. Mainly it's going to be online, but we'll have some printed versions as well. And we're also using BSL interpreters at specific inductions with live captioning. And also, there might be some volunteers that don't have a UK bank account, for example, asylum seekers and refugees. So having a method of paying expenses through petty cash as well has been really useful.
John, I'll take my hat off to you. There's so much there.
Yeah, I
Really,
could have gone on
we
for
could do
ages. So
we
it's
we
a bit
could
of a.
do 10 more webinars breaking some of that down. There's so many things that you've thought of. Yeah, the depth of schemes and also the partnerships that you have as well with the local charities and refugee action, and thinking about petty cash, amazing. Like, and the training schemes, there's so much going on there. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh, it's a pleasure. No, thank you very much. I probably whizzed through it very fast, but yeah.
Yeah, you had a lot to go through. We did get a couple of questions which we answered along the way, and actually your content often answered the question that was being asked as you were going along. Hannah from Humanist, sorry, did ask about when it comes to recruitment. Are there any advertising boards that you use? You gave a good list of recruitment tactics that you've on there. Hannah likes using charityjob.co.uk. How else are you doing that recruitment angle online as well?
Yeah, so as I said before, we're very lucky to have the pull of the City of Culture award, but we've been sort of city dressing, and what I mean by that is there's flags everywhere with the Bradford City of Culture logo. We've even our local bus transport, First Bus. We've got about 3 or 4 branded buses as well. But yeah, you know what? In turn, I think the most valuable thing is word of mouth when it comes to volunteering. In terms of advertising, so going in person to those community groups, adult classes, things like that, I think that's been the best way, because we've been able to explain all the benefits of volunteering as well, and all the training.
What's been the response from your volunteers about getting Rosterfy? To ask a selfish question, really.
They've loved it. Yeah, they've really loved it. A lot of them haven't used or been involved in a volunteer program that's so well organised, and I'm not taking the credit for that. That's Rosterfy that's helped us do that. So yeah, they absolutely love it. The way that they
I
can,
don't believe you there, by the way. It is you. Don't be silly.
the way that they can, sign up for shifts, but also if they need to cancel their shifts, they don't necessarily have to get in touch with us. If it's a few days before, they can do it themselves, and then somebody else can take the shift as well. Yeah, and having all that information in one place for them.
I think one of the big takeaways I've just got from your presentation there, John, is it's about taking the time to make people feel like their needs are being met. Take away any worry or any boundaries to volunteering, because it's hard enough to encourage people to move away from paid work or offer their time. Everybody's very busy. And it's even more challenging when you've got language barriers or people don't feel like you're part of their tribe, that you're part of their community. And the stark thing that I take from your presentation, from just spending any time with you, is that the attention to detail that you've done to make sure that their needs are being met, even if that's making sure that they are aware that volunteering isn't counted as paid work, or if it's, the simple things like acknowledging cultural and religious holidays and how that might affect volunteering as well in your area. Hats off to you, because I know Sam and myself, speak to a lot of volunteer programs, and we know how challenging it is. Even if you aren't considering those things, just running a volunteer program is very challenging. To compound that with taking the considerations of multiple different groups of multiple different languages, I'm very impressed. It's very good, mate.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we've always had one eye on the legacy as well. So obviously, we want to provide enough volunteers for this year. But more important for me, really, is actually building that legacy. So Yeah, it's about building those connections, definitely.